ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. Surah Al Baqara, verse 191. وَاقْتُلُوهُمْ حَيْثُ ثَقِفْتُمُوهُمْ. This ayah is about jihad. Allama Tabatabai says these verses in the Quran are the first verses to prescribe and legislate the ruling of jihad. وَاقْتُلُوهُمْ حَيْثُ ثَقِفْتُمُوهُمْ. So it commands Muslims to fight and to kill the disbelievers who used to fight them, as explained in the previous verse. In this verse, we have the word ثَقِفْتُمُوهُمْ. ثَقِفْتُمُوهُمْ means وَجَدْتُمُوهُمْ, wherever you find them. وَأَخْرِجُوهُمْ مَنْ حَيْثُ أَخْرَجُوكُمْ. Expel them from the place they have expelled you from. It talks about Mecca and the incidents before Hijrah, when Muslims lived there and they were expelled by the disbelievers from Mecca. Now it's your time and it's your turn. وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَشَدُّ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ. But Quran says that what they did to you was much worse than what you're going to do to them. Because if there is fight, the most evil consequence may be that some of them are killed, to lose life. But al-fitna, something that they did to you, was much worse. Because al-fitna here means the disbelief, idolatry, to worship idols, because they forced Muslims to go back to their previous faith. They persecuted them and they tortured them. So al-fitna here refers to those hard conditions under which Muslims lived when they were in Mecca, and they were forced by the disbelievers to return to the previous religion, the religion of idol worshipping. Fitna, Allama says that literally it means the test, the trial. But sometimes this word is used for other meanings which accompany the concept of test. For example, the test is difficult and hard, so that hardship and difficulty also sometimes is referred to by fitna. Or the consequence of the fitna, the consequence of the test. So some people, they fail in the test and they are punished. So that punishment also may be referred to as fitna. And here, the hard situation, the difficult situation which the mushrikeen, the disbelievers, imposed on Muslims in Mecca, that is referred to by fitna. And that amounted to kufr and disbelief and returning to the previous faithlessness, we can say. وَلَا تُقَاتِلُوهُمْ عِنْدَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. Don't fight them by the Masjid al-Haram, the holy mosque, because of its sanctity. So you are permitted to fight against kuffar, but not in that holy place. فَإِنْ قَاتَلُوكُمْ فَاقْتُلُوهُمْ. But if they initiated war against you in that place, then okay, you are permitted to fight back. كَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ الْكَافِرِينَ. In the next verse, God says they started a fight against you by Masjid al-Haram, by that holy mosque. So now they ceased, they stopped. So now that they stopped, you also stop fighting by Masjid al-Haram, because you have to observe the holiness of that place. قَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ فِتْنَةً. The next verse says that this fight must continue till حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ فِتْنَةً. That fitna is obliterated. And the fitna, as we explained, was idol worshipping, the misguidance which was caused by those conditions imposed by the people of Mecca. ويكون الدين لله فإن انتهوا فلا عدوان إلا على الظالمين. If they cease, this phrase was repeated in the previous verse, so why God is using the phrase twice in two consecutive verses? The answer is that cease in the previous verse refers to stop fighting by Masjid al-Haram, so that is not an overall ceasefire. They just stopped fighting by Masjid al-Haram but continued elsewhere. But the next verse says that if they totally stopped fighting, so in that case Muslims also will not be aggressive to them. لا عدوان. الشهر الحرام بالشهر الحرام والحرمات قصاص. الشهر الحرام is the holy month. We have 4 holy months, so 4 months which have sanctity, and fighting in them is forbidden. But what if the disbelievers violated that holiness? Because that holiness and that sanctity is not initiated by the religion of Islam. It is something rooted in the Abrahamic tradition. So the Arabs, the Mushrikeen, also they respected that. But what if they violated that? Now in that case God says that you also can fight back. So although it is holy, but in case they violated that holiness, then you are permitted to fight back. الشهر الحرام بالشهر الحرام. So holy month for a holy month. So if they violated that, you are also permitted to do the same. والحرمات قصاص. Now a general rule is given here in the second sentence. So the first sentence is an instance of the categorical proposition presented in the second sentence, that al-hurumat, the sanctities, they all, qisas means retribution. It means that they all are subject to these reactionary steps and moves. So if they violated the sanctity, you also are permitted. فَمَنْ اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ فَاعْتَدُوا عَلَيْهِ بِمِثْلِ مَا اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ. So now you can fight back, you can have an act against them when they start something against you, but it must not go beyond the limits. بِمِثْلِ مَا اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ, not more than what they did. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. The next verse, وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. It talks about infaq, many translated to charity or to spend. Literally it means to spend, but when infaq is used in Islamic context, mostly it refers to charity. Here, this verse, أنفقوا في سبيل الله, is located in the context of verses of jihad. So many commentators and exegetes, including Alama Tabatabai, say that this أنفقوا here is related to jihad. So spending for war, spending on weaponry and spending on training the military. So this type of spending is the best examples of أنفقوا here. وأنفقوا في سبيل الله, and it is in the way of Allah. ولا تلقوا بأيديكم إلى التهلكة. We have different translations for this phrase because we have different grammatical analysis of the phrase. لا تلقوا بأيديكم, don't throw. What is the object of this verb? Don't throw what? Some say that the object is omitted. Don't throw yourselves. Some say no. بأيديكم. أيديكم here is the object. Don't throw your hands. So if we take this second analysis and say that don't throw your hands, this ba is extra and it has its grammatical explanation. لا تلقوا بأيديكم, don't throw your hands into إلى التهلكة, into destruction. So it means that don't let your hands go into destruction. What does it mean? Hand here is an allegorical expression which denotes the power. So hand here stands for power. Don't let your power, your capabilities be lost. Okay, this is the meaning. So if you don't spend on your army, if you don't spend on your weaponry, then you will lose. So you will perish. Your power will be gone. So this is one interpretation. Another one is that لا تلقوا أنفسكم, أنفسكم is omitted, بأيديكم, with your own hands, don't throw yourselves into destruction. And sometimes by not spending, sometimes by spending all your assets and then nothing is left and you will be very poor. So a person must be moderate in أنفقوا, in spending. وأحسنوا, do good. إن الله يحب المحسنين. God loves the good doers. So if it is the moment of jihad and war and fight, you fight, but in a good manner. If it's the time of forgiving, so forgive with a good manner. وأتموا الحج والعمرة لله. وأتموا الحج والعمرة لله is starting of a new series of verses about Hajj, pilgrimage. We have Hajj and Umrah in this verse, Al-Hajj wal-Umrah. Very briefly, we can explain that Hajj consists of certain acts. Al-Wuquf, to stay station at Arafat, the plain of Arafat, which is located outside Mecca. Again, another wuquf, another stay at Muzdalifa or Mash'ar al-Haram. It has two names. Another area near Arafat. Then the Hujjaj and the pilgrims, they go to Mina, and there they slaughter an animal, sacrifice. They stone and they throw pebbles and they stone the pillars. And also they do halq, shaving the head. After that they do tawaf. They go to Makkah, to Masjid al-Haram. They do tawaf, circumambulation of the Kaaba, and sa'i, the walk between Safa and Marwa. There is also a salat for tawaf. And okay, that is a very there is another also tawaf. There are two tawafs, and there are some slight differences between Shia and Sunni fiqh in this regard. That is the a'mal and the rites of Hajj. And Hajj is of three types: Ifrad, Qiran, and Tamattu. Ifrad, Qiran, and Tamattu, three types of Hajj. Those who live in Mecca or nearby, they can do Qiran, Ifrad. But Tamattu, for people like us who live outside Mecca, far from Mecca, when we go to Hajj, we perform Hajj of Tamattu. There is another ritual which is Umrah, similar to Hajj but much smaller than Hajj. It consists of tawaf and sa'i and taqsir, to cutting a part of hair or nail. There is salat for tawaf for sure. So that is Umrah. And Umrah starts with Ihram as Hajj starts with Ihram. So it starts with the person reciting some sentences and entering the state of Ihram. The Ihram for Umrah is done at Mawaqit, or the plural of Miqat, some boundary points of the sanctuary limit, Al-Haram, and it is a bit far from Mecca. They make Ihram there, and then they go to do the A'mal of Umrah. For Hajj Tamattu, we make the Ihram from inside Mecca. So there are some brief explanation about Hajj and Umrah. وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ, to complete Hajj and Umrah for the sake of God. فَإِنْ أُحْصِرْتُمْ فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَادِيِ وَلَا تَحْلِقُوا رُؤُوسَكُمْ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْهَادِيُ مَحِلَّهُ. The word hadi means the sacrifice in Hajj. So the sacrifice in Hajj is called hadi. أُحْصِرْتُمْ means if you were prevented. So if an obstacle prevented you from performing Hajj, you started your Hajj but now you're stuck. Why? Because you got sick, or because of the enemy which blocked the way. Now you cannot continue to complete your Hajj. So in this case of emergency, what must be done? فَإِنْ أُحْصِرْتُمْ فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ. Now, because when the person enters the state of Ihram, many restrictions are imposed on him by religious law. So it is very difficult to continue that state for a long time. So now that there is no way to complete the a'mal, the rites of Hajj, there must be an alternative. Here God says, فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ. What is feasible, what is possible to perform from hadi, so from sacrifice. Now you offer a sacrifice, and by offering this sacrifice, you will be released from those restrictions of Ihram. And وَلَا تَحْلِقُوا رُؤُسَكُمْ حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ الْهَدْيُ مَحِلَّهُ. But don't shave your heads until the sacrifice reaches its place. Depending on the case of emergency, whether it is illness or an enemy, we have different rules, but in general, sometimes the sacrifice must be sent to Mecca if it is for Umrah, for example. Sometimes it must be sent to Mina if it is for Hajj, and sometimes it must not be sent anywhere. It must be offered at the place of the problem, depending, I said, on the case of emergency. So, لا تحلقوا, don't shave your head. Shaving the head here is not that ritual shaving which takes place as one of the rites of Hajj. No, indeed, this is one of the restrictions imposed by the person in the state of Ihram. Because when you are in the state of Ihram, there are many restrictions. One of them is that you're not to shave your head. Yes, on the day of Eid al-Adha in Mina, the pilgrims, they shave their heads as a ritual. But now, before reaching that point, it is forbidden, it is haram to shave heads. So, لا تحلقوا رؤوسكم. This is an example of those restrictions, that don't violate those restrictions of Ihram until the sacrifice that you offered as a compensation for the defect in your Hajj. So until it reaches its place, for example, it's supposed to reach Mina and to be slaughtered there. Okay, until it reaches there, don't violate the restrictions of Ihram. Wait until it reaches there, and then after slaughtering, after it being slaughtered by a person, then now you can shave your head. And I mean, it means to get out of the state of Ihram. فمن كان منكم مريضا أو به أذى من رأسه ففدية من صيام أو صدقة أو نسك. Now we have some people who cannot wait until that moment because of the illness. He has some illness, for example, some disease which affected his skin, so he has to shave his head. He cannot wait until that day when the sacrifice reaches the right place and is slaughtered there. Or به أذى من رأسه, there is a problem with his hair, for example, with his head, because of probably lack of hygiene in the area. There are some insects bothering him, so he has to shave his head. So for these cases, okay, they are permitted to shave the heads and not wait until the slaughtering of the sacrifice, but there must be a fidya, an atonement, من صيام أو صدقة أو نسك, either to fast or to pay charity or to again slaughter a sheep. So this is a compensation, this is an atonement for restriction, for violating the restrictions of Ihram. And according to some scholars, interpreters of the Quran, this is not only for the case of ihsar, it means when you are prevented from completing your Hajj. Even in a normal Hajj, when you are in the state of Ihram and you have this problem with your head, with your hair, so this permission is granted, but with this atonement. فإذا أمنتم فمن تمتع بالعمرة إلى الحج فما استيسر من الهدي. فإذا أمنتم, when you're in the state of security, there is no enemy, no problem, no illness, and you can have your Hajj properly. So in this case, فمن تمتع بالعمرة إلى الحج, whoever who tamatta means to enjoy. Okay, tamatta means to enjoy. To enjoy with umrah. So what does it mean to enjoy with umrah? Umrah itself is a rite of, for example, tawaf, sa'i. But because this refers to a certain type of hajj and umrah, that is umrah and hajj of tamattu, and it is a bit different from the other types of hajj. The advantage of this type of hajj is that there is a gap between umrah and hajj, in which the pilgrim can be released from the restrictions of ihram. There are many restrictions in this state of ihram. So the person who reaches Mecca, he performs umrah to tamattu. Umrah to tamattu can be done within hours, and then after that probably there are still several days till the day of hajj. So now he can enjoy. Now there are no restrictions upon him. But this is only applicable to the type of tamattu, this type of hajj. Then after that, when the time of hajj arrives, then he again makes ihram, enters in the state of ihram, and starts the act of hajj. So now, because of this gap and the release from restrictions, this type of hajj and umrah is called hajj tamattu, to enjoy. Okay, and here فَمَن تَمَتَّعَ بِالْعُمْرَةِ إِلَى الْحَجِّ refers to it. So a person who selects this type of hajj to perform, فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ, he has to offer a sacrifice, because in hajj tamattu, in the day of Eid al-Adha or Eid Qurban we call it, he must sacrifice, he must offer a sacrifice, slaughter a sacrifice. So this refers to that. This is not a compensation for any defect. This is not an atonement. This is a right of Hajj. فَمَا اسْتَيْسَرَ مِنَ الْهَدْيِ. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ فَصِيَامُ ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ. Then this person, if he could not find an animal, he could not afford or find an animal to slaughter, then فَصِيَامُ ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ. Now, again, there is a compensation for him to fast 3 days during Hajj, وَسَبْعَةٍ إِذَا رَجَعْتُمْ, and 7 days after returning home. تِلْكَ عَشَرَةٌ كَامِلَةٌ, then it becomes 10 days complete. ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ أَهْلُهُ حَاضِرِ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. This ruling is for those people whose families do not dwell by the Masjid al-Haram, in Mecca, in that or the areas near Mecca. It means that the ruling of Hajj Tamattu, this type of Hajj, is for the people who live outside that area, outside Mecca and nearby areas. And this ayah was revealed in the Hajjatul Wada, in the last year of the Prophet's life, and Hajj Tamattu, this type of Hajj, was prescribed by God in that occasion. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. The ayah ends with a warning, and it's a bit strange. What is the relation between this warning and prescription of the rites of Hajj? Hajj was an old tradition among Arabs from the time of Abraham, and they were used to perform it the way they learned from their fathers, and Islam also verified it. But Islam brought some new rules, like Hajj Tamattu, something new. For some people, it was not easy to accept it. They had some issues with accepting this law. So here we see there is a warning here, and history shows that some objections were raised by some Muslims. Al-Hajj Ashhurun Ma'lumat. Hajj is in well-known months. It means that it has a certain period. And the tradition explains those months are Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hajjah, the last 3 months of the lunar calendar. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجِّ. Whoever makes Hajj obligatory upon himself. Because if you start the act of Hajj, the ritual of Hajj, even if it is a mustahab Hajj, a recommended Hajj, but once you start it, you must finish it. It becomes obligatory upon you. It's not like mustahab prayer that you can break it. No, this one cannot be broken. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجِّ. So whoever who It means that whoever who enters in the ritual of Hajj. فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ. Rafath here means sexual intercourse. Although this is not the literal meaning of rafath, but out of politeness, Quran tries to use some words to denote the meaning indirectly. Wala fusuqa. Fusuq means to not to obey, disobedience or transgression. But here, as explained the tradition, a certain example and instance is meant, that is to tell lies. Wala jidal, jidal, quarrel, useless debate, and it is explained by a hadith to say la wallah, bala wallah, to make such oaths. They are forbidden. وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمُهُ اللَّهُ وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. It advises Muslims to take provision, and the best provision is taqwa. Because when you talk about some rituals, you must not be so much concerned with the appearance of the act that you forget the spirit of the act. So Quran here tries to awaken Muslims and show them the depth of the spiritual depth of the act of Hajj. لَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ أَن تَبْتَغُوا فَضْلًا مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ. There is no sin upon you, there is no blame upon you to seek Lord's bounty, Lord's mercy. Fadl here, mercy and bounty of God, is very similar to the ayah in Surah Al Jum'ah, when God says that when Friday prayer is performed, you must stop trade, no buying and selling, ذَرُوا الْبَيْعِ. Then after that, after the prayer, فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةِ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَابْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. Now seek God's fadl, God's bounty. So that bounty there means trade, sale. Okay, so here also it have the same meaning. It has the same meaning. It shows that during Hajj it is permissible for people to have trades, and these financial transactions are not forbidden. فَإِذَا أَفَضْتُم مِّنْ عَرَفَاتٍ. When you depart from Arafat in groups, in a big group, because ifada is used when a big group of people, a mass of people, they depart an area, they exit a place. فَإِذَا أَفَضْتُم مِّنْ عَرَفَاتٍ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ عِنْدَ الْمَشْعَرِ الْحَرَامِ. This ayah talks of two stations, two wuqufs, two acts of staying in a place, one in Arafat, one in Mash'ar. وَاذْكُرُوا كَمَا هَدَاكُمْ وَإِن كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلِ لَمِنَ الضَّالِّينَ. The next verse says, ثُمَّ أَفِيضُوا مِنْ حَيْثُ أَفَاضَ النَّاسِ. Depart from the same place from which all people depart. According to narrations, in the age of Jahiliyyah, Quraysh and their allies, they used not to stay in Arafat and just to stay in Muzdalifah, Mash'ar al-Haram. Though both were rites of Hajj, but they did not go to Arafat. They said, we are people of Mecca, we have to stay within the boundaries of the sanctuary, and Arafat is outside. But God says, no. أَفِيضُوا مِنْ حَيْثُ أَفَاضَ النَّاسِ. From the same place. You have to do the same thing that other people do. فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُم مَنَاسِكَكُمْ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا. After completing and finishing the rites of Hajj, now remember God. The way you remember your fathers, or even more intensively, more seriously remember God. It is said that after Hajj in the age of Jahiliyyah, they had a habit, they had a custom to get together and boast about the pride of their fathers, their history. So Quran says, remember God. أو أشد ذكرى, even more seriously, more intensely. ومن الناس من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا وما له في الآخرة من خلاق. ومن الناس, nas, all people, believers, disbelievers, all are included. So this type of people who are meant by man yaqul are those people who do not have faith. So the faithless, they are not looking for the good of hereafter. They just want something from this world. رَبَّنَا آتَنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا. God gave us in this world. And this dua, this prayer, may not be something said by tongue even. I mean, probably this is something that a person shows in his attitude, that he is looking for the worldly fortunes, worldly bounties only. So, and وما له في الآخرة من خلاق ومنهم من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. This talks about the believers, those who have faith. So for them, it's not only dunya. Akhirat also matters. The hereafter matters. So they ask God for both worlds. And they ask God good. آتنا في الدنيا حسنة. Give us good in this world. While in the previous verse, the faithless, they said, give us in this world, because they see whatever in this world is good for them. All worldly fortunes are something good. But for a believer, no, that's not the case. Because it said there are many things which looks pleasant, but they may not be good for me. So, oh God, you decide what is good to give it to me. أولئك لهم نصيب مما كسبوا والله سريع الحساب. The last verse in this page says that these people, the second group, they have a share from what they have earned. But on the contrary, the other group, ما له في الآخرة من خلاق, they have no share in the day of judgment. So this refers to the concept of habt, means that the a'mal, the deeds of the disbelievers are subject to habt, to become void and worthless, while the a'mal of the believers, they will remain for them. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.